Are you looking to get involved in sim racing or to upgrade your existing sim equipment? DigitalMotorsports.com are the world's leading one-stop sim racing shop. We stock everything from wheels, pedals, PCs, cockpits, right through to fully built custom turnkey sim solutions built to meet your specific requirements. We're official distributors for the best brands including SimLab, Fanatec, Thrustmaster, Cube Controls, Husingveld, SimiCube, SimTag, Next Level Racing, Grid Engineering and many more. We offer fast, reliable worldwide shipping via DHL, and we also run some of the most competitive online racing leagues in the world. Check out digitalmotorsports.com today.
The GP Box is an online marketplace for motorsports merchandise and memorabilia. Browse for a whole range of motorsports products in all forms of motorsport. Take Formula 1 for example. There is a whole section dedicated to Formula 1 products from your favourite drivers, cars, teams or tracks from all eras of Formula 1. There are more series available, including WRC if you are a rally fan. You can even search for your favourite form of motorsport to see what products they have in your favourite forms of motorsport. Or, if yourself are a retailer in motorsport, you could set up your own shop within the GP Box to open up your products to a much bigger motorsport audience. Find out more at thegpbox.com. Well, good evening everyone and welcome back to Crest Autosport TV. Welcome back to the World Touring Car Challenge. We're in round 4 of the championship tonight and we're here at the Mount Panorama Bathurst circuit. A circuit I believe that's never been streamed on this channel before, so, well, on Raceroom it hasn't anyway. So, yeah, quite an exciting round tonight awaits us. Welcome one and all to the World Touring Car Challenge. Tonight's track, as we mentioned, Bathurst Mount Panorama Circuit, referred to as two names. We're in the New South Wales state of Australia, for the only track that's in the Australasia or Oceania region, whatever you like to call it, of the world, as a host track on Raceroom. You can just see what we're in for tonight. I mean, Bathurst is one of those circuits that's up there as one of the most popular tracks in the world. It's up there with Le Mans, it's up there with Monaco, it's up there with Spa. It really is one of the big ones. Mount Rushmore of tracks, I'd say. Mount Panorama, Mount Rushmore. This track, 3.8 miles in length, or 6.2 kilometers, if that's your measurement system, and 23 turns in total. It's a very long track. It's a very tiring track as well. Cars going up the hill and then down the steep, steeper than what you're progressing upwards the hill. 23 turns in total, 11 to the right and 12 to the left, but we'll probably see the right-hand sides of the tyres, the right-hand tyres of the cars really taking a beating, particularly at the top of the mountain where there's long sweeping corners to the left. It's going to be quite a challenge tonight, so I cannot wait to get this underway. So tonight's itinerary is the same in every single round of the championship. 20 minutes of qualifying will start on the hour in about 5 to 6 minutes time. That will follow with a warm-up. But after the warm-up there will be a 20-minute race, and the grid of course for race 1 will be based on the qualifying results. We'll go for a quick break in between races 1 and 2, but when we come back for race 2 it will be a 30-minute race, which this season we've seen has caused a lot of drama, particularly in the form of tyres wearing away and drivers taking risks early on or taking it easy early on. A bit of tortoise and hare going on in these second races, but the drivers are getting a little bit more attuned to the format and they're starting to figure out the ways in which they can get good results. But that final race of the night, the 30-minute race, will be based on the results of race 1, but the top 10 in the race 1 results will be reversed. So the driver who finishes first in race 1 will start 10th in race 2, and the driver who finishes 10th in race 1, you guessed it, will start in pole position for race 2. What about the cars we're witnessing tonight? Well, we said it's the World Touring Car Challenge, but it isn't strictly World Touring Cars. Not the older generation from the tens decade we've seen, not the WTCRs we're so familiar with nowadays. It is classic this season around, and we've got 4 rear-wheel drive cars from the 1992 season of DTM. Some very, very famous cars in here, to name but a few. Ford Mustang GT DTM, quite the beast of a car, a very heavy car and huge in brake horsepower. We've got the BMW M3 Sport Evolution, probably one of the most famous BMWs ever made, and a classic touring car in its own right. I believe it was raced, I read something the other day, in the 90s the BMW M3 featured in 30 different championships around the world in the 90s, which is incredible. We've got the Opel Omega 3000 Evo 500, not a very popular car in the DTM 1992 series. It is a popular car in this series, so we've got 3 different drivers in the server tonight racing it. But in the 1992 real-life DTM series, there was only one Opel Omega in the field. But it's a good-looking, classic-looking touring car. And of course we've got the Mercedes 190e Evo 2 DTM, which is another very famous touring car in its own right, and it is the car, the winning manufacturer of the Drivers' Championship this year in the year 1992 for DTM. And what about the season we're undergoing? Well, the World Touring Car Challenge gone classic this season. We're over the halfway mark and we're into the second half of the season with 3 rounds to go, 6 individual races to go, so really not that much more opportunity for drivers to get their points in, to establish their positions. And it got very, very interesting last time out at Paul Ricard. But before we go into that, we started off a month ago exactly, actually, at Donington Park GP circuit. Then we ventured over the English Channel to Belgium for the Zolder circuit on the 16th of February for round 2 of the championship. And round 3 of the championship was hosted at Paul Ricard. We're here today at Bathurst after a week off last week. And next week we're off to Brazil for the Interlagos circuit. The Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache circuit, to be precise. And then the final round of the championship, well, it's a DTM championship. Of course it's going to end at the Nordschleife in Germany. Final round of the championship on the 23rd of March, 2 weeks from today. You can still get involved in this championship should you wish to. I know it is late in the season, but if you want to get involved in Crest Autosport, if you want to get involved in DTM 92s, if you want to get involved in the championship, just sign up and get yourself involved. If you follow the link you can see in the thumbnail there, crestautosport.com. It is also in the description of this video here on YouTube. You can go to our website and you can find all the relevant resources and links you need to get involved in the championship. So into the live action with 2 minutes to go in practice here. So before we head into that, let's have a little bit of a sit rep of how the championship looks heading into tonight's round. So a recap of the results before we head into the championship. Well, last week it was all about one man. Portuguese driver of Emotion Virtual Spirit Racing, Diogo Quintal, dominated last week. There's no other way of saying it. It was a maximum points round for the Portuguese driver. Pole position, winning the first race and the fastest lap, and climbing 9 places to win the second race and get the fastest lap. So a maximum points round for Diogo, and deserved the Driver of the Day award to come with it. Other drivers did all they can, but they just fell too short, as it turned out in this round. Steph Kramers and Ola Janssen managed to make up the podium in race 1. Ola Janssen with a very good drive in that race to get himself 3rd place. And in race 2, Anthony Cheval-Urso, his debut to the season, got himself 2nd place, just ahead of Steph Kramers in 3rd position. And what does that mean for the championship? Well, heading into round 3, it was Michael Clough who was leading the championship. He now falls 83 points behind in 4th place. That's how bad of a round he had in Paul Ricard, and how good of a round Diogo Quintal had. He's now 73 points clear at the top of the championship. It's very much looking in his hands with only 6 races, individual races to go in this championship. But as we saw with Michael last time out, it can fall away just as quick as it can come to you. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if Diogo can keep it on the black stuff, can keep it going, and keep up the momentum and take the championship. It's looking very good for him at the moment. Paul Hans, who has taken a win this season, sits second in the championship, but only 2 points clear of Ollie Janssen. Ollie Janssen, who had a very good round last time out at Paul Ricard, now puts himself in contention for a top 3 in the championship. Michael Clough, as we mentioned, in 4th position, falls from 1st to 4th from his it was just purely bad luck that last time out at Paul Ricard. He's had a lot of that this season. When it's gone well for him, it's gone really well, but when it's gone bad for him, it's gone really, really bad. Jeff Perkis, the ever-consistent Jeff Perkis, sits himself in 5th position, and he is 23 points clear of Nikolai Mikov. Rodrigo Portugal sits 7th with Fabio Andrade in 8th position, and tied for 8th position with him is Steph Kramers, who is very much a part-timer in this championship, but a good championship position considering. Elliot House rounds off the top 10. And just in the nick of time, we start qualifying. 20 minutes to set a lap here on a lap that I didn't actually catch the lap times. I believe it's around about a 2-minute lap. But we've got a lot of driving to watch here, a lot of very, very. It's gonna be a lot of difficulty tonight. That's the word to use for tonight. But we're looking here at the championship leader heading into tonight, Diogo Quintal. What a drive it was last time out at Paul Ricard. He was really unstoppable. And looking at the practice differentials between the drivers, I couldn't see the exact time he had. It might have been a 1:59 actually, come to think of it. But he was more than a second clear of his nearest rival in 2nd place, which was Paul Hans, I believe, or Ollie Janssen, one or the other. But they're both battling for their championship positions themselves. So it's going to be quite interesting tonight. Diogo has the opportunity to really, really stretch that lead in the championship. And if he gets a good enough result tonight, don't think prematurely here, but he might get enough points to be able to win the championship in the next round at Interlagos. Just have to figure that out a little bit. So it's 50 points if you win a race in this championship, and in 2nd place, if you get 2nd place in a race in this championship, it's 40 points. There's a big gap. Huge gaps between 1st, 2nd and 3rd of 10 and then 5 points. And we saw a car spin there at the on the descent from the mountain. I think that might have been Alex Ward spinning, but it doesn't get in the way of anyone, thankfully. But yeah, back to the championship situation. If Diogo Quintal can get himself more wins, and I believe if you can finish next week 100 points clear, about 100 to 110 points clear of anyone, whoever's sitting in 2nd place, he'll win the championship. But that he definitely won't be able to win the championship tonight. It will be next week at Interlagos. But without further ado, we have completed our warm-up lap of Bathurst. Diogo Quintal is going to give us a guided tour of this circuit of Bathurst. And a huge air intake there on the front, on the dashboard of the car. So here we go. Across the line we go to start this lap of Bathurst, and I have no idea what the corner names are. So we're going to head into turn 1 right now. A 90-degree left-hander, and now onto a long straight, one of quite a few on this track. So we just went through Hell Corner and are now on the mounting straight. As you can tell, I've just googled a track map of Bathurst circuit. So mounting straight over the crest here, under the Audi bridge, down the hill, and braking uphill now into Quarry Bend. A long right-hander. It's a lovely corner this is when you get it right. A little bit out of shape heading in, but it seems fairly smooth from Diogo at the moment. Up the hill again, it just keeps going up and up through the cutting and into the sharp left-hander, one of the slowest corners on the track. Nice straight exit and nice and tight on the apex there. Round Griffin's Mount we go, up to Reed Park. Lots of BP signs around us here through this corner. Oh, getting very much out of shape and kissing the wall on the exit there. Now we're at the top of the mountain through Solomon Park. We're going to start heading downhill just shortly. This is the very top of the track right here. Now we're going to start heading downhill into the Skyline section we go, and through the S's. Breaking down the gears, has very much been in 4th and 3rd and 2nd gear for much of the lap here. Hovering in 2nd gear, not pressing the accelerator too much. It's rear wheel drive cars, remember, so they're going to be very tentative through these corners. Oh, getting the rear out of shape. Steep braking into Forest Elbow. And now we're on to the fast part of the circuit, the long straight of Conrod Straight. One of the most iconic straights in motorsport. We'll head down a little dip through here, up a steep hill, and then back downhill we'll go again. We'll ascend up to near 300 kilometers per hour as we head towards the chase. Excellent speed there from Diogo Quintal, and he's gaining on Ollie Jansen up ahead, getting the rear out a little bit out of shape, but keeps it going steadily on the throttle, heading out the chicane, and into Murray's corner we go. 90-degree left-hander, kissing the curb, gently pressing the accelerator on the way out, because if you press it too hard, you hit the wall. It's one of those corners quite deceptive, but not a bad time from Diogo by the looks of it, a 2:13, so it's a bit more than 1:59 I predicted earlier, but he's already at least a second and a half clear of his rivals at the moment. So it's looking very good already for Diogo. It could well be another maximum points meeting for him tonight. We'll see, we'll see. There's other drives to contend, Ollie Jansen being one of them, and Ollie Jansen right behind. That's Nikolai Mikov right in front of him. Going to be holding him up a little bit. If the season's told us anything, is that Ollie Jansen higher in the championship is a bit quicker than Nikolai, but Nikolai has been one of those drivers that, getting a bit out of shape there as he moves out of the way of Ollie Jansen. Nikolai Mikov is one of those drivers that just keeps giving us real good, strong performances. They're not quite consistent enough, though. That's my only critique of Nikolai, as he's slightly in the way of Diogo Quintal here, and that will compromise Diogo, but I don't think he'll be at all bothered, will Diogo? And he will start a brand new lap. Coleman Corkery returns. He took a week off. Well, it's been more than a week off. He did not attend Paul Ricard due to other commitments, but he's back this week, and he did. Oh, I don't know if he attended Zolder as well, actually. Let me just double check. Double check. Yes, we haven't seen Coleman Corkery since Donington Park. The last race he competed in this league, he finished second. So, comes into this race with very fine form. Not so fine attendance, but hey-ho. All drivers compete in all rounds. We have our lives outside of sim racing. But we'll see how Coleman gets on tonight. Be very interesting to see. He did very well to get second place at Donington Park, I seem to remember. Remo Schneider, another driver who had a week off last time out at Paul Ricard, and he returns this week. Remo Schneider is a former champion in Crest Autosport, but a category champion. It was the CA2 championship he won 2 seasons ago in the World Touring Car Challenge. That's when we were racing WTCR cars around some very short and narrow tracks. And speaking of which, do keep an eye, ladies and gentlemen, on, if you're on our Race Room, Crest Autosport Race Room Leagues group, if you're on our Discord, do keep an eye on things there, as we'll be announcing the next World Touring Car Challenge season very soon. Anthony Chevalier made his debut last time out at Paul Ricard. He goes within 1.3 of Diogo Quintal to take second place at the moment. Anthony was pretty quick last time out at Paul Ricard. Got himself 72 juicy points from that meeting. 4th place in race 1 and 2nd place in race 2. So a pretty good debut for him. Now this, Anthony was rapid in the shakedown, I seem to remember. The shakedown being the pre-season unofficial race before round 1 at Donington. But Anthony cannot attend all rounds. It's quite a shame. He'd be quite competitive if he did attend all rounds. Right, let's see who else is on some flying laps. Our directors take us to Ian Deeney. Now, Ian Deeney, how's his season going on? Well, he didn't attend Zolder, and he didn't have such a good round at Donington. I remember he was contending amongst the top 7, I think, at Donington Race 1, and the rear end gave way on him, and he had to end his race through hitting the wall. But other than that, he has maintained some pretty good results. 5th and 7th last time out at Paul Ricard. But the DNFs and the DNSs actually have not helped him in terms of the championship. Sits 12th at the moment in the championship, but a good round here might see him into the top 10. Paul Hans with no time at the moment. He's off the track there. That's probably going to go back to the pits. I mean, if it was real life, he'd probably be stuck. Oh, I'm not actually sure if he's disconnected, actually. That's looking a bit strange there from Paul Hans. The car's not meant to do that, so we'll revert our eyes for the time being. And that might have been a slight disconnection for... Yes, it is. Paul Hans is disconnected from the server there. Hopefully he can get himself back. Fabio Andrade, been a bit quiet this season, I would say. He's teammates of Diogo Quintal. They're both Portuguese drivers teaming up for the Emotion Virtual Spirit team. But 5th place here at the moment for Fabio. He's been very consistent, let's be honest, this season. But he's been quiet. He's been silent assassin, let's just say. Sits 8th in the championship, so he'll be looking for some good results tonight to get himself... He's actually able to contend for 6th. He's only 22 points behind 6th place Nikolai Mikov. In front of him in the championship, in front of Fabio that is Rodrigo Portugal. Started off the season not so well, was really off the pace in Donington, but has found his feet a little bit as rounds have gone by. Crest Autosport resident driver, of course we're going to support him. Low-key. 6th at the moment in qualifying, 3 seconds off top spot, and he's just shy of just over 3/10 off of Fabio Andrade at the moment. He's the driver he'll know he'll have to target today, as well as Nikolai Mikov. Now, championship positions are very much established. Some drivers have probably surprised themselves with some championship standing positions, and Rodrigo Portugal will really be putting himself up against Nikolai Mikov, behind him in 7th, and Fabio Andrade ahead of him in 5th. It's close between them at the moment, about 4/10 between them. So it's going to be an interesting one. Ollie Janssen will be half keen to see Paul Hans is struggling to establish a connection with the server at the moment. Well, of course, no driver really wants to get it that way. They want to win it by their own rights. But Paul Hans has a big... Ollie Janssen has a big opportunity for 2nd in the championship here. Michael Clough isn't racing tonight, so it's between Ollie and Paul Hans. And at the moment, 3rd place in qualifying sets Ollie on his way to getting himself an established 2nd place in the championship. I believe he is a former champion, Ollie Janssen is, in a category, I think it was... the 2021 World Touring Car Challenge final season of the final championship of the final season of the year. Do excuse me, mixing up a lot of words there. And I believe he won the AM category of that season. That's when we drove actual World Touring Car Championship cars. Now remember, he was driving Rickard Rydell's livery, Swedish driver in a Swedish driver's livery. Very fitting. The Swede drives the Mustang here around Bathurst, and just look at it scraping along the ground. Real low ride height on that car. If it was a Formula 1 car, that'd be porpoising all day long. It's not, yeah, it's not a Mustang, it's a bobsled. Look at it going down there. It's like a scene out of Cool Runnings, this, at the moment. Got to be so tense, so careful with these cars through these corners. Oh, and a brush of the wall there. That might have given him a little bit of suspension damage, but he seems determined to carry on anyway. Let's see if Ollie Janssen can get himself into 2nd place in qualifying here. Not much time remaining. The thing is, it's a 2.25 minute outlap, so that takes you up to 4.5 minutes for a valid lap. And we're on 6.5 minutes remaining right now, so drivers really are only going to get in, at most, 2 laps if they leave the pits right now. And we'll head into the final corner here. Ollie Janssen, how's he going to get... He might actually be an invalid lap here, because Sector 2 hasn't popped up. So, yeah, it might be invalid. I don't know how you can do that at Bathurst. Quite impressive. And yes, that was an invalid lap from Ollie Janssen. And he'll have 1, maybe 2 opportunities to try and better his time. Paul Hans is back on the server, which is very, very relieving to see, and he's out on track. He's been in the server quite a while, but yeah, I reckon he's got into the server, got straight in that car, equipping the setup, and he's heading out to get his qualifying done. I think if I'm Paul Hans right now, I'd be thinking, let's just get a valid lap in. Get yourself on the grid. You do not want to be starting, as it stands, 14th. Do not want to be starting in that sort of position when you are fighting for second in the championship. We'll stay with Paul Hans for a moment. In fact, as he starts his flying lap, let's see how Ollie Jansen is getting on. Diogo Quintal is in the pits, so nothing furthermore from him. And Ollie is on a valid lap. He hasn't bettered his Sector 1, but, you know, it's Bathurst. That Sector 1 is only 2 corners. It's this section, getting over to the top of the mountain and then back down, is all of Sector 2. It looked a little bit too quick through the S's there, and he's down on his second split. This is not going to better his time. He will have one more opportunity once this lap is complete. Paul Hans. Oh, taking a lot of the outer curb there, and I think this might... Oh no, it's good. It's looking good, actually. So, Ollie Jansen much quicker in the first sector, but Paul Hans has bettered his personal best. I mean, his personal best was his outlap, so of course he's going to better it. But that seems to be a long way off Ollie Jansen, I do believe, who is about to finish this lap. The splits will come up now. Yeah, Ollie Jansen way quicker at the moment. But again, we said if we're Paul Hans, we just want to get a valid lap in. 212, 213, 214, 215, a long way off. That's not going to better it at all. 3.1 seconds down. If that was his qualifying lap, that put him 7th place. So it might, I might be guessing this a little bit, but Ollie Jansen might just be getting some practice laps in. Oh no, he's not. He's decided to call it a day in for qualifying anyway, and put it into the pits. It'll be no higher than 3rd for Ollie Jansen. Paul Hans is the one we're looking out for. This is probably his last opportunity to get a time in qualifying. He's got a slipstream up ahead, which is a good thing. And this is the thing, I'm wondering if the BMW is actually that good around this track. It does lack in horsepower, which means getting up the hill, it's really going to struggle. But it is the most stable of the cars, which will really benefit around the corners here. He's got a slipstream up ahead from another Mustang driver in the name of Alex Ward. Oh, and I think that was a little kiss of the wall there for Paul Hans. And are we looking at an invalid lap already? I think we might be. Yep, I think Paul Hans... This is an invalid lap, so this will just be a practice lap for him. Paul Hans will start this race from 14th on the grid. Oh, and it would definitely be an invalid lap after cutting the S's there. So a bit of a stressful session for Paul Hans. And that top 3 looks pretty secure at the moment, unless Ian Deeney can do anything to disturb. At the moment, no, he's slower in Sector 1. So drivers really do struggle, I've noticed in this championship, to set times later in the stint. It's a bit strange, because you can change your tyres in the garage. There's no limits on tyres, and you don't have to drive back to the pit. You can just hold down escape, and it'll put you back to the garage, which is the essence of sim racing, really. Deeney bleeds it through the S's. I'd say much cleaner through there than what we saw of Ollie Jansen just a moment ago, but he is down on his personal best, so this isn't going to get him further up the ladder. And we are going to check on other drivers in the name of Jeff Perkis. Sideways, going down the hill here. He'll definitely be enjoying that, and his times are enjoying that. He's up on his personal best, so this could disrupt things a little bit here in qualifying. He's got one sector to go, and it's probably one of the easier of the sectors. Downhill. We'll see where Jeff Perkis can get himself. Might he be able to break into the top 6? He could. But while we were talking about that battle between Portugal, Andrade and Mikov earlier, development since then is that Rodrigo Portugal has put himself into 5th in qualifying, so he heads the battle for, well, that trio in the championship, which is battling for what is currently 6th position. That might change, that might become 5th. Perkis goes through the final corner. It was a very scruffy final corner there from Jeff Perkis. He might be annoyed with that. And across the line, he does better his time, but it's only enough to put him to remain him in 8th place. But there we go. There's our qualifying results here at Bathurst Circuit, Mount Panorama. Oh, and a change in the standings just there. Nikolai Mikov puts himself into 5th place, so take a new screenshot, Alex. Diego Quintal puts it on pole position. A good start to his championship leading defence. Anthony Chavalha in 2nd position, 7/10ths down from the Portuguese driver. Ollie Janssen 3rd in the championship, 3rd in qualifying. Ian Deeney 4th position on his return to the series, with Nikolai Mikov taking 5th place in the dying moments of qualifying. Rodrigo Portugal in 6th, with Fabio Andrade behind in 7th. Jeff Perkis with 8th position. Remo Schneider on his return to the series in 9th, as well as returning Coleman Corkery rounds off the top 10. Alex Ward, Elliot House and Carl Smith round off the ones that set times, and it is Paul Hand and Tim Johnson who did not set times in that session. So we've got a little bit of a warm-up before we get underway with race 1 of the night. And we'll go back through the grid a little bit later on, so a little bit more housekeeping before we get things underway here. Remember, we have shown you at the start of the stream, but this is the season we're undergoing. You can still get involved in the series should you wish to. Next week we are off to Interlagos, so if you like Interlagos, if you like touring cars, and if you like DTMs, and if you like Race Room, and if you like sim racing, I suppose, get yourself involved by going to crestautosport.com/raceroom-WTCC-sign-up. You don't have to type it, it's in the description of this YouTube video here. And after Interlagos, 2 weeks from today, it'll be the final round of the championship, and it's the Nordschleife. I mean, look at those cars. You really want to drive these cars at Nordschleife, don't you? So get yourself involved. Or if you're just enjoying watching the races, carry on watching these races here on Crest Autosport TV. Give us a like for this video. Do give us a subscribe as well. It does really, really benefit the channel. Giving us a little subscribe and hitting that notifications bell if you really are a true fan, a true MVP, and you can stay notified of everything that's going on Crest Autosport TV. So I do know, it just came to mind, these are the cars that we do race in this championship, and it has come to mind that there's a couple of people who ask, well, there's a 5th car in this category, why are we not racing the Audi? Well, there was a little bit of a, they called it Audi Gate in the 90s, where they developed the, well, they brought in the 4-wheel drive system, similar to what they did in rallying, I suppose. But yeah, the Audi V8. A V8 4-wheel drive engine. It's a gorgeous sounding car, but it has significant advantages. The main one that prevents it from being in this series is its ability to get off the line, because it's 4-wheel drive, of course. Very little in the way of wheel spin, and put it this way, if you start 10th, you can end up at the front within a corner. That's kind of why we don't have Audis in this series, in case you are wondering. But the cars do match up quite well when it comes to racing on track. It's just difficult to manage the Audi in this field with how good it starts. But that's just the way it was back in the 90s. There was less in the way of restrictions on what you could drive and what cars you could build. Nowadays it's very much restricted. I mean, touring car racing now, you're limited to front wheel drive for the most part, with the occasional series allowing rear wheel drive cars, but with significant ballast to even out the field, and power reductions. Very much didn't get that back in the 90s. Back in the 90s, it's whatever car you could bring. If it was quick, bravo. And it was somewhat like that later in the 90s and the very early 2000s. Personally, I'm a big British touring car fan, and one of my favourite seasons was the 1998 British Touring Car Championship, where they had, it was 8 manufacturers, and it was so evenly matched. There was only one manufacturer really in the 98 season that never even looked like threatening, but all the other manufacturers really stacked up against each other, and it was great. You had Nissan, Volvo, Renault, Honda, Vauxhall. Who am I missing? Did I say Nissan? I might have. But yeah, a lot of manufacturers up against one another. It was really great to see back in the 90s. And you could say that British Touring Cars is back to that state. A lot of manufacturers and a lot of drivers, and a hugely popular series nowadays. But as for DTM, it's really been a shame that DTM has really plummeted, and I'd say it was largely due to COVID, if I'm being honest. It really didn't help the economy of championships like DTM. Very localized championships who relied on a lot of funding, a lot of manufacturing backing as well. And it just didn't quite work out. And I think DTM are collaborating with ADAC now, which is good because they're both German residing organisations. Why not? So, warm-up's over. I hope I helped pass the time there. I certainly did help myself. But we are going to progress into race 1 of the night. Nice showing off there from Diego there, until he drives into the wall, of course. Right, here we go. We're going to form up for this opening race of the night. This is the Bathurst Circuit Mount Panorama, race 1 of the night. Welcome along, everyone, to the World Touring Car Challenge. Does DTM 92 cars. I've been looking forward to this round for quite some time since we announced this championship. Bathurst in these cars. It's quite something to behold. Diogo Quintal lines up on the front row, and alongside him lines up Anthony Chevalier. At the back, in the tic-tac livery at the very back of the grid, is Paul Hans. He will have some work to do to keep himself in strong contention for second in the championship. There we go, drivers have lined up on the grid. One driver hasn't made it to the grid, but we line up here at Bathurst for the first race of the night. Away we go. Oh, it looked like a bad start from Diogo Quintal, and drives already pulling across to the left side of the circuit to guard their positions, but into first place goes Anthony Chevalier, so brilliant start for him in front of Diogo Quintal early on. Round turn 1, everyone goes fairly safe and sound, but there was a lot of scurrying to the left side of the track. Rodrigo Portugal here in 5th place gets himself ahead of Nikolai Mikov on that start. Up here we got Diogo Quintal, who's cruising past the BMW. Much faster on the straight is the Opel, and that's where the BMW struggles, but keeping it on the inside is Anthony Chevalier. So as out of shape goes Diogo Quintal, up the hill we go, and the BMW again is going to be struggling on horsepower. Past goes Diogo Quintal, and that looked easy for him to get back past. Here we go, can Anthony fight back as we head down the hill in just a few seconds time? Remo Schneider, big gains already. He's up 3 places to 6th place. He's made his way past Perkis, Andrade and Mikov. So far for 6th place, good start for him. And there's a crocodile of beautifully looking DTM cars heading through the mountain here. Quintal leads the way, as we mentioned, half a second clear. Now we're going to head down the hill. This might be BMW territory, but this is the part where drivers have really got to be careful heading through, making sure they don't bash cars ahead, making sure they don't bash the walls. And it's looking okay so far for these drivers. They're doing very, very well, actually. Not to make too many desperate moves early on here, and lots of sparks flying off the Mustang there of Ollie Hansen, heading through Forest Elbow there. And onto the main straight we go, and Quintal is checking out already. He's more than a second clear. Brilliant start to this race for him. It was a bit of a tricky start. It just couldn't get off the line. I think he lifted his clutch a little bit too eagerly. Remo Schneider's up to 5th now, 4 places gained, and this is the big battle we're going to keep an eye on as well. It's Portugal against Mikov against Andrade, battling for, at the moment, 6th in the championship. Portugal leads that battle at the moment. The end of lap 1, it's going to be it's going to be Quintal who leads at the end of lap number 1. So far, a fairly perfect night for him. Elliot House makes his way past Carl Smith there, who runs a little bit wide coming out of Murray's corner there. And we've got Alex Ward looking to the inside of Jeff Perkis, heading into turn 1, but could not complete the move. The two drivers representing Next Gen Racing. And we got Andrade. That Opel is quick. It's really suited here by the looks of it. It seems to be working on the straights against the BMW. And past he goes. Alex Ward has also passed Jeff Perkis quite easily. And this is Andrade making a move on Mikov. And through he goes. Yes, the BMW really is struggling on these hilled sections and these long straights. But the Opel seems to be rapid on them. Paul Hans trying to make up some places. He started 14th. He's up to 11th. He's ahead of Coleman Corkery at the moment. He's catching up with fellow Tic Tac livery driver here of Jeff Perkis, who's close to Alex Ward. Michael Clough in the chat supporting Alex Ward, because Alex Ward drives with 2 names in his team name, it seems. RAF Esports and Next Gen. Perkis all over the rear of Alex Ward heading down the hill here. We've also got Paul Hans caught up to the back here, and that looked like Coleman Corkery was getting out of shape there, but he managed to keep it going. Paul Hans also got it out of shape. It's getting a little bit desperate heading down the mountain there for some drivers. Oh, sparks still flying off the back of that Mustang, and through Forest Elbow they go. No great moves made so far on that lap, but Coleman Corkery is all over the rear of Paul Hans heading out of Forest Elbow there. Let's see if he can get a good slipstream and make an overtake into the chase chicane. Not gaining rapidly at the moment is this BMW of Corkery against fellow BMW driver. Braking early into the chase. It's quite a difficult braking zone, this is. Oh, caught up through the corner there as Paul Hans chose to brake later. But no move yet from Coleman Corkery. Carl Smith is already retired to the pits. It's not been a good start to the meeting for him. I'm not sure what's happened, but he has had to revert to the pits and abandon this race, potentially due to damage. Elliot House, last of the runners here. He's going to try and make a move on Coleman Corkery. He's going to get a bit of an undercut here as Coleman brakes a little bit too late. Side by side between the two BMWs. In the orange windscreen cover is Elliot House. In the yellow one is Coleman Corkery. And he moves behind, tucks back in behind to take that 13th place and get the slipstream off of Elliot House. Fighting here between Paul Hans and Jeff Perkis. I think momentarily Paul Hans did make his way alongside Jeff Perkis, but could not complete the move. He's really struggling for grip at the moment by the looks of it. Paul Hans is. He has hit the wall quite a few times in this race already. And that's really not going to help the tyres. It's not going to help the suspension. It's not going to help your car overall. Towards the front, Cheval Urso has dropped to 2 seconds behind Quintal. He's keeping him honest, but he is dropping away from him. Looking like a near perfect night yet again so far for Quintal. As we've seen a swap of position here, Andrade has moved ahead of Rodrigo Portugal. They're both compatriots of Portugal. But down to 7th place goes Portugal, and catching up in the background there was the battle between Alex Ward, Jeff Perkis and Paul Hans. This could be a big battle for 6th place in the making here. This is the review. Portugal's dropped off a little bit from Andrade. Speeding along the straight here. That Opel really is very quick along these straights. We've got all Opels in the top 6 here, and only one BMW in the top 6. So behind Portugal is this queue developing of mostly BMWs. One Mustang in the midst there, which is Alex Ward, gaining on Mikov. He's actually been quite a good lap from Alex Ward here, catching up with the Bulgarian driver up ahead in 8th place, and leaving behind the two Tic Tac livery drivers behind. But these BMWs really are struggling. They're all, most of them are from 7th place downwards. The only altering car is Alex Ward in the middle there. Here we go. Ward's going to move to the left of Mikov. He's just a sitting duck. Past goes Alex Ward, and it's going to be easy braking heading into turn number 2 here. Through he goes. And Portugal's up ahead there in 7th place. Is really struggling to hang on to Andrade. We did say towards the start of the season, we have said various times in this championship that there's certain cars that have certain characteristics and certain cars that are going to suit certain tracks more than others, and certain tracks that are going to be bogey tracks for cars. We're definitely seeing the BMW struggle right here. We saw the Mercedes struggling at Donington Park, and we saw, I think, the Opel struggled at Zolder. Oh, there's a little move there from Mikov, and it caught Alex Ward off guard a little bit. He just about keeps that Mustang together, which, believe me, is very hard to do. Good driving there from Alex Ward, but he's dropped off a little bit from Rodrigo Portugal, and there's a big queue of cars developing behind Ward here. There is Mikov, Perkis, Hans, and Elliot House, and Coleman Corkery behind the Mustang here in his mirror. Heading down the straight. Look at all those sparks flying off. Well, they were flying off the Mustang heading down the straight here. We got Paul Hans challenging Jeff Perkis here. Late on the brakes. Very late on the brakes. Excellent move from Paul Hans there. Has he kept it? Has he kept it? No, he hasn't. Jeff Perkis fights back. Brilliant battling from these two, and he's got the inside for the next corner. Perkis is going to hang on to this position, and they may have dropped back a little bit from Mikov, but no, round the outside, hanging it round the outside is Paul Hans, and he's got away. He's got away from Jeff Perkis. He's miraculously saved that overtake that nearly got lost from him, and into turn 1, he progresses into 10th position, and now he's got to catch up with Mikov. If we had replays, I'd love to see that move from Paul Hans again. Real late on the brakes. You could see how much it was leaning forward as he stamped on the brakes to get it alongside. But let's move on. Rodrigo Portugal, a sitting duck to the Mustang here. Oh, and he was able to brake late enough and get it to the inside of the corner and stay ahead of Alex Ward. That was so close. And Jeff Perkis has lost out to Elliot House here. House has made his way past Jeff Perkis. It's been a bad sequence of corners for Jeff Perkis. He did brilliant to fight back on Paul Hans, but he has not gone his way at the moment. He's down to 12th place now. House, who started this race in 13th, was it 13th position? No, I think it was 13th position. Doing well here, progressing up a little bit. He's got Paul Hans up the road from him. Let's revert off. Oh, actually, we're going to go back. Mikov. Oh, and he spun it. He tried the inside of Alex Ward, and he spun it into the wall. I think he stamped on his brakes, and it turned the car around. That has really hampered his progress, and it's sent him far down the order and a long way behind. It's going to be a huge amount of points lost for Mikov in this race. As long as he can get it to the end, though, he'll still score points. But that is music to the ears of the likes of Fabio Andrade and Rodrigo Portugal as Mikov falls down the order. Back towards the front, the battle for third is raging a little bit. Ian Deeney in the last few laps has really been gaining on Ollie Hansen up ahead. Let's see how Deeney gets on. Ollie Hansen here will know that his championship position is fairly safe if he finishes third or fourth. He will take second in the championship as it stands, where they finish. And he'll know that. And I think Mikov has retired from the race. Yes, Mikov has... Oh, I think it's a disconnection, actually. I think it is a disconnection from Mikov, which means he'll miss race 2. Oh... You really hate that. The internet disconnection is the sim racing equivalent of an engine blowing up. You really don't want to see it. House versus Jeff Perkis. Perkis has managed to find his way back past Elliot House. and does not make the move just yet. It's split it up a little bit here as Mikov falls down the order a little bit, through retirement. Paul Hans got his foot down, trying to catch up with Alex Ward here to try and get 8th place, try and make up as many points as he can. That's all he can do at this point, is just keep trying to climb the order. Dini close again to Ollie Janssen. And it'd be interesting to compare the Mustang to the Mercedes through this section of the track. He's the only Mercedes driver in the field, is Ian Dini. But that Mustang is really, really good. As soon as it's in a straight line, it just blasts away. And that's what these drivers are struggling to deal with in that Mustang. But the Mustang does have to brake considerably earlier. It's got very weak brakes on it, and it is quite unstable at times. But so is the Mercedes. You can see a little wiggle from Ian Dini heading out of the corner. It can be the frustrating thing about these cars. They're positive traits and negative traits. The negative traits really do overshadow the positives sometimes. 6 minutes ago in this race, Quintal has had quite a quiet one. Yet again, it seems. He's 4 seconds clear of Anthony Chevalier, so he's also had quite a quiet race. He did threaten Diego Quintal at the beginning by taking first place momentarily. And we've got Paul Hans here making a move for 8th place, and he's passed Alex Ward. But I think this battle will continue as Alex Ward has got considerably better straight line speed as he gets back alongside Paul Hans. And we'll have the inside heading into turn number 2. Ward got a little bit out of shape there, heading over the bump there, heading into the right-hander. He had to be careful that Paul Hans did not come straight back up his inside. And there's a queue of BMWs behind the Mustang here. Perkis, will he try a move? No, he won't. They'll go single file into the hairpin, and they'll Constantina up a little bit as they slow down so much for that hairpin. Up the hill we go. This really is Mustang territory heading up this hill because it's got so much better brake horsepower than the cars behind in the BMW. I believe the Mustang has something like 570 brake horsepower, only 320 on the BMW. It's incredible the difference between all these cars. But actually, Paul Hans has done very well here. He's stuck real close, and Jeff Perkis trying to move but could not make it. Or they're all taking different lines and getting very squirrely heading into the downhill section of the S's here. Sparks blasting off of the Mustang there. I mean, any more sparks in Paul Hans' face, his hair will stand up. Won't need hair gel. It'll be all the electric in your face. Now let's see Paul Hans down the straight here. Just watch the Mustang now. It's going to pull away. It is. It's just easing away. But a little bit of slipstream here really is helping Paul Hans. He's actually stuck quite close. And actually he's gaining now. He is gaining a good amount of slipstream here. Is he going to be later on the brakes? I was expecting a move similar to that of the move on Jeff Perkis not too many laps ago. But he's sticking real close to Alex Ward. But it is the long straight before the cars get to its top speed where the Mustang really does pull away. That's where the brake horsepower takes its greatest effect, is when it's accelerating through the gears. But I think the BMW being lighter actually has better top end speed. Now, that's going to be interesting when we get to tracks like Nordschleife, because there are 2 very notable sections at the Nordschleife where the cars will hit their top speed. But the majority of the track is quite a lot of short and medium straights, so it's going to be a fine balance between all these cars. And you've just seen there, Alex Ward has pulled away from Paul Hans on that straight, and that's all it takes for the Mustang to get into safer territory, particularly on this track. It's going to be interesting because the standout BMW driver so far has been Anthony Chevalier, so 5 seconds down from Quintal, but he is a long way clear of Rodrigo Portugal 20 seconds clear, who is the second BMW of the field, out on his own at the moment. But it'll be interesting to see what Cheval Ursel can do in the crowds in the next race. At the moment, reverse grid is held by Jeff Perkis. It could go between Jeff Perkis and Paul Hans at the moment, but do not write off Elliot House. He does love a good battle. He does love trying to get those reverse grids. He's got two BMWs ahead of him who he can contend with. And Ward pulled away at the start of this lap. Hans has caught back up with him a little bit. Scraping along the ground there is the Mustang bobsled. Lovely camera angles from our camera team there. Better than the Paul Ricard cameras, who remembers that? And actually, Alex Ward here is doing a significantly good job of catching Rodrigo Portugal at the moment. It's been brought down from, I think it was about 3 seconds to 1.3 right now, looking at the clock. With 1 lap to go, Rodrigo Portugal needs to look out, but it's this man who's done, well, turn 2 to flag. He didn't quite have the lead for the entirety of this race. But it's looking good. It's looking good for a repeated perfect round like what it was last week. We were keeping an eye earlier on Ian Deeney catching up potentially with Ollie Hansen, but it has not materialised. He's dropped to 2.5 seconds back, but it's still strong points for both drivers, Janssen and Ian Deeney. Biggest mover at the field is Paul Hans, but also Remo Schneider has gained quite a few places, but he is under a little bit of threat from Fabio Andrade at the moment. Back here, reverse grid battle. Jeff Perkis is currently in the reverse grid slot, but he's got a car right behind him in Elliot House who will know that's the reverse grid slot and is going to want it. Jeff Perkis right on the rear of Paul Hans. What does he do? Does he attack or does he guard? What does he do at this point? Oh, getting very much out of shape there's Jeff Perkis, but he managed to keep hold of it somehow. We've also got Andrade catching up with Remo Schneider as well up ahead, but we're going to keep an eye on this battle for the time being before we switch to our race winner. Trail of 4 cars head through. Just going to see where Quintal is. Yeah, he is here, so we are going to stick with him while he crosses the line, takes honours for the opening race of the night. This will be win number 4 of the season for Diogo Quintal. He has won over half of the season. And he comes across the line to win this race here at Bathurst. Across the line he goes. Anthony Cheval Ursel will take second position. A good drive from him, repeating the results of Paul Ricard. And we've got Ollie Hansen. He'll come across the line in 3rd place here. I am keeping an eye on the battle back there, guys. Don't worry, nothing's happening yet. Brilliant 3rd place for Ollie Hansen there. Let's head to this battle. Paul Hans to the inside of Alex Ward, and Elliot House is not close enough to contend for 10th. But Ward goes very wide there. Could it be? Could it be? He drops to 10th. And Elliot House cannot do it. Alex Ward with a mistake in the final corner of the race there puts it back into 10th, and that'll mean reverse grid pole for him, but it means a loss of points as well. Paul Hans was able to get past into 8th place. I don't think there was any contact between them, so I think it was Alex Ward's own doing. I think anyway, from our perspective anyway, it looked like that. But what a good race that was between Paul Hans, Perkis, Ward, House, and for a moment Mikov. Brilliant, brilliant racing from them. But your race winner was Diogo Quintal. Excellent, excellent drive yet again from the Portuguese driver. Very much looking favourite for the championship right about now. I believe that will stretch his championship lead to 99 points, I think. 94 points, I think. A 94-point lead. Wow. And as I said, if you can lead by more than 100 points, heading out of Interlagos next week, he'll win the championship around early. No drop rounds in this championship either. That's why it's crucial to attend all rounds that you can. Drivers I was quite impressed with in that race. Raymond Schneider was one of them. A very good first lap, and that established his position of 5th place for the remainder of the race. I think had he not got that good opening lap, he might have been stuck in the battles that involved the likes of Andrade, Portugal, and Mikov, Hans, Perkis, and Ward probably. So a good opening lap really does pay off sometimes. Paul Hans, most places gained. I believe he started 14th, finished 8th, and he got himself into reverse grid. And this will be where he has to try and get as good a position he can in this next race. He might have a little bit of reservation about getting first with Quintal in the form that he's in. But a good second place for Hans. He'll just keep an eye on the standings on his heads-up display for Ollie Janssen. He'll be of which he's battling in this next race. All drivers have finished, but we are waiting for the clock to tick to signal the end of the race. Because we had a disconnection, it thinks Nikolai Mikov is still in the server when he's actually not. It's a bit of an odd one. So we do have to wait for the timer to tick down, which is quite lengthy. We've got another 40 seconds to wait. Fairly interesting race, quite interesting seeing the dynamic differences in all the cars, especially especially the Mustangs compared to the BMWs. That was really something to behold. And there we go. There's our results rounded up. So it's been maximum points so far for Diego Quintal. He takes the win in race 1 of the night here. Anthony Chaval so in second place, 6 seconds down. Ollie Janssen takes 3rd place from Ian Deeney, who did present somewhat of a challenge in that race to 3rd place, but 4th place for him. And we'll get those standings back up on the screen now for you. Race Room does its thing where you can't actually tell it when you want the results, how long you want the results. It's very strange. There we go. Remo Schneider climbed up from 9th, I believe, to 5th place in that race with an excellent lap 1, as we were mentioning earlier. Fabio Andrade started 6th and finished 6th. Rodrigo Portugal takes 7th position, with Paul Hans rising from 14th on the grid to 8th position. Jeff Perkis takes 9th and reverse grid through falling 2 places on the final corner, then just about kept it ahead of Elliott House. Reverse grid will go to Alex Ward, who will start pole position for the next race. Elliott House misses out by actually just over a second in 11th place there. Coleman Corkery struggling in 12th. He did contend with the BMWs up ahead of him, but fell off the tail a little bit towards the end. 12th place for him. And a non-starter of Tim Johnson in 13th place, and the non-finishers of Nikolai Mikov and Carl Smith. So there we go. We'll go back through those results shortly as we present the grid for race 2 in just a moment. We're in round 4 of the championship here, guys. Next week we'll move on to Interlagos. There's only 5 races, individual races left in the championship. Interlagos next, and 2 weeks today will be the Nordschleife. As I mentioned earlier on, ladies and gentlemen, in the next week, maybe I'll do it on the next broadcast, actually. Maybe I'll do it a week today. We're going to announce the next World Touring Car Challenge season. So do keep your eyes out on Crest Autosport Race Room Leagues. In fact, if you are watching, if you are able to put a comment in the comments, what would you like to see next season? You can probably take a little guess as to what it might be, but yeah, let us know in the comments, what would you like to see us do on Crest Autosport Racing Leagues? We already do MX-5s on the Tuesdays, and we do these on the Thursdays. And we've got an announcement coming soon on the next Mazda MX-5 season. Well, I may have just given it away a little bit, but yeah, that's a little niche that we're having on Tuesdays now, and I believe it's going to be carrying on, but with a slightly different season. Rodrigo Portugal, our driver in this series, is the main admin for the Mazda MX-5s, does a great job handling that, and he's got a brilliant few ideas for the next season. But yeah, let us know in the comments if you really do want to. Let us know, what would you like to see on Thursdays ongoing here on Crest Autosport TV. I'm trying to think of how many seasons we've actually hosted. So we started off with DTM 92s, and it was a shared season between 92s and 2020s. So you could count that as 2 seasons. And then we went WTCR, it was the Euro TCR Championship. And then we went World Touring Cars. So that's 3. And then we did 3 on the trot in the World Touring Cars. And of course, 2 of them seasons were broadcast by JP Broadcasting. And there's this one. So I count about 7. If you count the MX-5s, 8. If you count the GT Cup, 9. Yeah, I believe we've hosted 9 individual championships here on Crest Autosport Racing Leagues. We're in our 4th season on 5th season on iRacing, our 4th for IndyCar. Oh, not allowed to associate IndyCar and iRacing. Oops, did it again. Oops. But we also did a Formula 3 season earlier on, I seem to remember now. And Dirt Rally is in its, I believe it's its 12th season now, so... And those seasons are 1 year in length. So that's been running a very long time. It's the origins of Crest Autosport is rallying on Dirt Rally. And in the year of 2021, we did decide to branch out into sim racing. It started with Race Room, it went into Assetto Corsa, it went into iRacing, it went to Automobilista 2. And now we run 3 sims, but we will be returning to Assetto Corsa very shortly. A Hill Climb Championship, Hill Climb Time Trial Championship will be hosted very soon on Assetto Corsa by Crest Autosport. But before, well, now we've done rambling about that, the grid for race 2 of the night will be as follows. Alex Ward will start on pole position, Jeff Perkins alongside in the 2nd position. Row 2 will be taken up by Paul Hans and Rodrigo Portugal. Row 3 taken up by Fabio Andrade and Remo Schneider. Ian Deeney and Ollie Hansen will take up row 4 of the grid, with the top 2 in race 1 taking up row 5. That's Anthony Chavalerso and Diogo Quintal. 11th place will line up Elliot House with Coleman Corkery alongside in 12th. And at the back of the grid, if he takes to the start, will be Tim Johnson. So we are waiting for drivers to grid up. And that is Nikolai Mikov's car we're looking at there. So it seems to be still registered in the server. I wonder if he's in the... Yes, he is. Yeah, no ping, but Mikov is still declared in the server. But here we are. We're about to get underway for the next race of the night. Alex Ward is on the pole position. Alongside him is Jeff Perkins. Who's going to get the better start? It's definitely going to be the BMW. A brilliant start from Jeff Perkins. Alex Ward is a sitting duck here. He's got BMWs either side of him in Portugal and Hans. But into turn 1 goes Jeff Perkins in the lead. Portugal puts himself into 2nd place right away. And a spin at the back. That's Ollie Janssen. Janssen has spun, and it might have been contact that sent him around, and he's got to do a 3-point turn to get it back on track. But it's a long race, plenty of time to go, and he's going to lose track of the pack here. That's going to be music to the ears of Paul Hans, who's battling him in the championship for 2nd place. But into turn 2 we go. It's Jeff Perkins who leads the way at the top there. Alex Ward, the pole sitter, dropped 2 places. excuse me, and Remo Schneider, look at that, he's already gained up to 4th place. He's brilliant on these opening laps. Andrade allowing Quintal to get to the inside of him. Can't quite see over the brow of the hill there, but Quintal's already into 6th place, making no patience to get through this crowd here. Already up a few places to 6th place, and he's got Paul Hans ahead of him, who you would consider his closest rival heading into tonight, actually. So it's going to be quite significant that he moves ahead of him very, very shortly if he does. But this is a very difficult section of the track to overtake. Normally you have to just deal with going single file through this section. Portugal with a slow down penalty, which normally is quite detrimental on this track. He's got to be careful where he serves that. He is holding up these cars here. He hasn't served it already, but he's going to have to serve on the straight, which is going to be bad news for him when he's got a Mustang and an Opel right in his mirror. I think he served it now, but here we go. He's going to lose a lot of momentum here. Here comes the Mustang of Alex Ward. Alongside he goes to the right side as Rodrigo Portugal guarded it. Quintal's also making a move on Paul Hans back there. And through goes Alex Ward into the 2nd place. Back to Mira where he started. And Quintal has moved ahead of Paul Hans. Oh, and a big move on Rodrigo Portugal, who broke very early for the corner there. And he just let loads of cars by there by the looks of it. Schneider went past him, Quintal and Paul Hans. And Jeff Perkins seems to be running slow as well. I'm not really sure why, but back into the lead goes Alex Ward. So he started this, he's done what Quintal did in race 1. He started the race really bad and he's moved back into that top spot. Quintal now into 4th place from 10th to 4th in 1 lap. He's following Remo Schneider here and he's going to try and make a move for the podium spot already. Paul Hans trying to hang on to the back here, but Quintal is so quick. He's got that car absolutely glued and absolutely set up to be optimal on this track by the looks of it. Schneider guarding, and Schneider's making a move for Jeff Perkins. Oh, and poor Perkins somehow didn't know he was there and turned across on him. Schneider makes the move, and Schneider's been brilliant tonight. 5 places gained in this race so far. He's up to 2nd place. And look at Alex Ward. Ever since turn 1 of the race, he's just absolutely sent it. He's doing brilliant at the moment here. Up front and moving away. Let's see what Remo Schneider can do to retort that. No move yet from Quintal. He needn't rush. He really doesn't need to rush this. He knows he's going to get to the front. But what can these drivers do to slow him down? And we have seen the Opel Omega does struggle on its tyres. The latter part of this race, it really does slow and slow. As Jeff Perkins did skip across the curb there. The thing is, the trick is not to get flustered in these cars. You've got to keep it as straight as you can. Into Forest Elbow we go. Remo Schneider close to Alex Ward. He had a good sector there. View from the front of Remo Schneider. Quintal has moved past Jeff Perkins. That BMW really does struggle on the straights here. And Paul Hans has dropped off from this pack a little bit. Quintal is onto the podium. And he can set his sights on Remo Schneider and Alex Ward here. Schneider goes to the fend. Oh, and look at that. Jeff Perkins back up the inside. Oh, and he's taken Schneider with him. Too late on the brakes. And all of Schneider's hard work undone there. Jeff Perkins just broke way too late there. I thought it was going to be a clever move. I thought it was going to be a good move, but it was way too late on the brakes. And that really has compromised him and Schneider's race. Ollie Hansen moves past after his bad start as well. And that is such a shame to see. Really, really is a big shame to see. Quintal now moves into 2nd place. 9 places gained. And Alex Ward is checked out. 3 seconds clear at the moment. Let's see. Let's just see. Rodrigo Portugal challenging Anthony Chevalier. So here we got Elliot House also all over the rear. Going to move to the inside is Elliot House heading up towards turn number 2. And behind them is Coleman Corkery. But through goes Elliot House. Portugal seems to be struggling at the moment here. I do know that Portugal just needs to work on his racecraft a little bit. He does tend to get a bit submissive to other drivers at times. But he's mostly experienced in rallying. He's trying to find his craft a little bit in racing here. And the only way to do that is to get stuck in. And that's what he's going to be doing here. Guarding off from Coleman Corkery here, try and catch back up with Elliott House. Corkery looking to the inside, not the ideal overtaking opportunity, but he did see the door open a little bit then, but could not complete it. Back here we got the 3 drivers who fell foul of some incidents in this early part of the race: Schneider, Janssen and Perkis. But back towards the front, onto this main straight we go. Diego Quintal down from 3 seconds to 1.3 seconds. Striking distance, 1 lap. As our F1 graphic inaccurately tells us sometimes, but I think I'm a little bit more accurate than it. Heading into the chicane, Quintal very late on the brakes. Alex Ward, he probably will love to hang on to first place as long as he can, but sometimes in sim racing you do have a little bit of an inevitable feeling about you when a certain driver who's dominating the championship is rapidly approaching you. Ward would be keen to hang on to a top 3 spot here, I know that much. Anthony Chevalier, so second in race 1, is looking to Fabio Andrade here. But at this part of the track, as we've mentioned, the BMW does struggle. And the previous lap from Diego Quintal was a 2-minute 14 lap, which is astonishingly quick. I believe that's quicker than his qualifying lap. Ian Deeney has caught up with Paul Hans here. And I think the Mercedes is another car that has that distinct advantage over the BMWs on certain parts of this track. All over the back of the Tic Tac livery there is the Karsha livery of Ian Deeney. And back towards the front, Diego Quintal is just shaving off tenths and tenths per corner. Down to nearly half a second now. But this is the part of the track where Quintal might not be able to try a move. Ward will have one eye on his track ahead of him, one eye on the mirror. And that is how close Quintal is now. And a good exit from Forest Elbow. The Mustang kicks into life a little bit here. But let's see what happens as we head down the straight here. There you go. You can see the Opel is starting to gain. And he'll move out of the slipstream. Oh, no, he won't. He won't. He'll stay behind. He's not going to make the move. I wonder what... Well, having said that, that's probably an intelligent move from Quintal, because you can get very unstable under braking heading into the chase there. Will the move come in another corner? Deeney still all over the rear of Paul Hans here. And we've got Andrade, I think, conceding 5th place to Fabio Andrade and Elliott House. He didn't get reverse grid slot, but he has had a few places gained here, up to 7th place, and contending for 5th place here. Back at the front, no move yet from Quintal. He's binding his time. I did say striking distance 1 lap, and he could have gone for it. He hasn't. He's decided to hang on. Quintal's got time here. He's got 20 minutes to decide his move. And what he doesn't want to do, which I just realised and remembered, is he's got to save his tyres. The Opel is notorious for burning through its tyres. And in a half an hour race like this, we've seen what it can do to the Opels. We saw what happened to Quintal at Zolder. He was on course to win race 2. He's all over the rear of Alex Ward here. Can he make a move before we head down the hill? I'm not entirely sure we can. Ward hangs on to the lead for now. Ward has led a third of the race, with the exception of most of lap 1, actually. Rodrigo Portugal seems to be having a difficult race here. He's plummeted positions. He had a good start, but he's plummeted down to 12th place right here. Oh, and something might have happened here. Paul Hans has lost position to Anthony Chaval-Urso, and Ian Deeney's lost to 5th place now. So Chaval-Urso onto the podium, and it's a gaggle of cars now battling for 4th place. Paul Hans, and we've got Ian Deeney in contention with Fabio Andrade. They're very close to one another. And Deeney has to tuck in behind Fabio Andrade as we head towards the chase. Anyone going to make a move here? Nope, they stamp on the brakes, and Elliot House is alongside, and we've got our car running wide. That is Paul Hans, and he's going to lose positions. He's back down to 7th place. So Janssen's back there. You can see him in the black Mercedes. You can see his championship rival up ahead. That's music to the ears of him. And now falling behind Remo Schneider now is Paul Hans. Schneider can get his place back here from Hans. And into 8th place he'll go. Quintal has not yet made a move. He's trying to save his tyres. That is absolutely what he is doing. And look at that. The majority of drivers who gain places in this race are in the top 7. Janssen is behind Paul Hans, his championship rival. He's back within reach. I did say, do not give up. If you have a spin on lap 1, do not give up. You never know what can happen. And Janssen is driving a good race here to get himself back in contention. No moves yet from Quintal. And he'll probably... A lot of these drivers use something called AutoHUD, which gives you very good telemetry on tyre degradation. And he might be looking at that and getting a bit nervous. That might be what's going on here. But if he just sits behind at a... If he just sits behind at a relaxed pace and doesn't work the tyres too hard... The thing is, going for risky overtakes will burn the tyres more than they need to. But let's see if this is the moment. Because he's right behind Alex Ward. There we go. Hair's sticking up. It's like sticking your finger in a socket. All those sparks in your face. Good NGK advertisement there. As Quintal has got good slipstream, he's going to make a move. Oh, and there is contact between the two! Alex Ward goes for a spin! And that might be game over for Alex Ward. What on earth happened there? Contact between the two. Quintal moves into the lead, and Alex Ward's race is over from the lead. It was too hard to tell what happened from our angle, but that's it. The engine's done. In the lead, and he's gone. Well, if Raceroom had replays, we'd definitely be looking at Alex Ward retires from the race. It's going to be interesting to hear about that one later on. Quintal moves into the lead. Albeit it might have been a controversial one. I'm not really sure what to say. Yeah, commentators are not meant to be speechless, but I am speechless. I'm not even sure what happened. I saw Quintal step out to the right of Alex Ward, and then all of a sudden they were together. I cannot tell who moved into whatever. The camera angle was not quite good enough for us to tell. But controversy in the at the front of the grid there. Quintal moves into the lead, and you could say he can relax now, but I don't know. Will it be something the stewards look at later? We'll have to see. Right, let's have... Yeah, there we go. We've got places gained on our timing tower there. 7 places gained for Elliot House and Coleman Corkery. Good races from them. Really good races from them at the moment. Okay. So Ian Deeney here. Let's keep an eye on him as he's fairly close to Fabio Andrade. Oh, very much out of shape heading out the elbow there. And I'm just going to make a note that Anthony Chaval-Urso has gained a little bit on this lap. on Diogo Quintal. The last lap from Quintal was a 2:18. Cheval also did a 2:16. So let's see. I'm going to see what the times come through at the end of this lap here. Oh, what's going on? Oh, something has happened back here. Coleman Corkery has fallen down the order here. Yeah, another incident that's gone away from us a little bit there. But Andrade falls behind Ian Deeney. Deeney makes the move. Yeah, I've just had a message from Alex Ward, and oof, yeah, it's going to be one the stewards look at. So Quintal, although we can't really celebrate yet, it's probably going to be a very unprovisional result, this, until stewards have looked at it. I know this is a busy week for the stewards. The IndyCar, sorry, the open wheel oval series has got a lot of incidents to look at, as has the MX5 series. So yeah, it seems to be it seems to be the period of the season where things get a little bit intense. The gap between Quintal and Cheval Urso here maintaining. It's definitely below 3 seconds and staying below 3 seconds. Cheval Urso might see a potential for a win here. Now, if Quintal is trying to conserve his tyres... Oh, have we got another instant here? Oh, and there's more contact between them. Cars all over the middle of the track here. Remo Schneider has spun around again. And I think Paul Hans might have turned around as well. Ian Deeney and Remo Schneider trying to get away. Coleman Corkery caught up a little bit as well. But it's been a bad race for Remo Schneider when race 1 was looking so good for him. And I think that's a limping Opel as well. And it does mix up the order quite a bit. And when somebody does spin heading down the mountain there, it really does cause some bad happenings, let's just say. We're going down the hill here at Bathurst. It's been a good track for these cars, though. I like how certain cars get the advantage on certain parts of the track, and other parts of the track it falls away. Ian Deeney getting very scruffy there, heading out of the chase, and to the outside we'll go. Coleman Corkery as we head into the final corner here, Murray's corner. Holding it round the outside goes Coleman Corkery. A big power out the exit. I think he might have done it here, you know. Yes, he has. Into 9th place. A brilliant move from Coleman Corkery to take 9th place here. And Deeney falls to 10th. Deeney was looking good for a 4th or 3rd place. And it has fallen away from him here. Ollie Janssen making his way past Paul Hans. This is the battle for 2nd in the championship. Janssen progresses into the position. Oh, contact between the two. As it stands, Janssen will be 2nd in the championship heading out of this round. But certainly not over between these two in the championship. Paul Hans may be able to fight back at Interlagos, which may be a track better suited to the BMWs. More corners, less long straights. But quite a hilly track is Interlagos, so there we go. It's quite interesting. Jeff Purkis, been one of those drivers. Every battle that's been on the track, Jeff Purkis seems to be there at the moment. It's been one of them rounds for Jeff, but we've got 10 minutes remaining in this race. 4.5 seconds clear now is Diogo Quintal. He's managed to rack in some good laps. But I'm struggling to think of a driver of the day. Now, I never vote for the same driver 2 rounds on the trot. I never do. I think I've done it once, and I didn't enjoy it. I never do that, just as a principle thing. Diogo Quintal did get driver of the day last week. And I think, kind of, because there's a little bit of speculation around what happened between him and Alex Ward, I think that's another reason. But, yeah, driver of the day. Have a think, folks. Who could it be? To be honest, a very There's Jeff Perkis, brakes too late there and runs off wide, nearly into the back of Paul Hans. Paul Hans nearly had a BMW-shaped bumper on his BMW. Well, yeah. Jeff Perkis still rapidly trying to warm up. Oh, shake off the dirt from those tyres as he's got more BMWs approaching him in. Rodrigo Portugal getting very out of shape, heading out the final corner there. And Coleman Corkery seems to be on a charge at the moment. He's got Ian Deeney to keep him company. But what I was trying to say before then is Fabio Andrade has had a quiet round tonight, but he's been the driver that's really kept out of trouble tonight, as has Anthony Chevalier. Quick and quiet. The two Qs. Coleman Corkery trying for 8th place. Rodrigo Portugal had a difficult start to this race, but he's established a better position as the race has gone by. But Coleman Corkery had a much better exit from the corner there. Looked to the outside, but it's not really a good spot to overtake. Heading into the hairpin here. Can't quite make the move. Dropping away a little bit is Corkery here. Back towards the battle for second in the championship, the battle for 5th on track. Hans versus Janssen. Hans has dropped back a little bit from that Mustang. It's definitely been evident that the Mustang is the stronger car on this track, as well as the Opel. I do think when we head to Interlagos next week, though, I do think the BMW will come back to form. And the Nordschleife, it's very much an all-rounder, that track. Seven minutes to go. Now, Andrade here, I've just checked his stats. He hasn't finished on the podium yet this season. Of the drivers in the top 8 in the championship, him and Rodrigo Portugal haven't yet finished on the podium, but he has got Elliot House approaching behind. Elliot House didn't have the most impressive of race one. He didn't quite get into reverse grid contention, but he sits 4th place right here. As we see Ian Deeney taking a spin out of the final corner there. He's spinning it back round to get it in the right direction, and this is a miserable race. More miserable now for Ian Deeney. He'll keep going to get his championship points. But 11th place is looking almost but certain for him at the moment. But yeah, back to Elliot House. Not a very good race one, but he is superb at coming through the pack, is Elliot House. I think he's one of the drivers with the most places gained of the season. No, he's not actually. He's not. Diego Quintal is, as well as Carl Smith. Carl Smith, who's running at the moment in 12th. We haven't mentioned him at all yet in this race, and he had a DNF in race 1. But Carl Smith is one of those drivers that lets other drivers fall off the radar a little bit and picks up points and positions. He's 11th in the championship, so doing rather well. Now this battle for 3rd is going to be interesting. That Opel, as we mentioned, does degrade its tyres in this part of the race. It does struggle, and oh, you can see it's really struggling. Elliot House is right on the rear now, but will he be able to make a move down this straight? Quintal has lost a little bit of time to Chevalier, so in the last lap as well. There's been a position swap. Coleman Corkery has fallen behind Remo Schneider here. Elliot House can't quite make a move on Fabio Andrade yet, but he knows it's on. He knows a podium is on. And I don't think, Elliot House has not finished on the podium yet this season. So this really is the battle for 1st podium of the season for these drivers. To the outside, he's given room by Andrade, but does not make the move. Coleman Corkery is all over the rear of Remo Schneider, but can't quite make the move. Remo Schneider, by the way, if it wasn't for being taken out earlier in the race, he really would be a candidate for driver of the day for me. He's been mightily impressive, apart from that corner. But we'll forget about that. And Fabio Andrade, I think he's taken a spin. Turn 1 there. He drops to 6th. And Elliott House takes 3rd position. But I don't think that's over by any stretch of the imagination, because Ollie Jansen is coming. He's dropped Paul Hans behind, and he's making his way towards the top 3 here with 4 minutes to go. Elliott House makes a mistake coming out of turn 2, and Jansen is right on the rear of the BMW, heading up the hill. Can't make the move just yet, but it's now game on yet again for 3rd position, but now between House, who's guarding the position now, and Jansen, who's attacking. Oh, and Elliott House is breaking away quite easily from Jansen here. I do wonder if the tyres are really degraded on that Mustang. They do not degrade anywhere near as much on the BMW. Like I said at the start of the season, the BMW is very much the all-rounder. It's the car that seems to have a good balance of understeer and oversteer. It's good in weight. It's not great on acceleration. But it's one of those cars that you can just sort of put into the corner with ease, whereas the other cars you have to manage the rear end quite a lot more. And Elliott House has broken to more than a second clear as we head onto the straight. Obviously no DRS on these cars, so a second is not quite as significant as that, but it's been a big shift in this last lap for Elliott House to hang on to 3rd place here. And as Quintal heads into the final corner, he'll have 2 more laps remaining, so it'll be quite a low amount of baggage time of about 20 seconds when he crosses the line next time around, where he'll have to compete another lap. That will not be what he wants, because right here is Anthony Chevalier, so he's within 3 seconds of Quintal up ahead. This race is not over, ladies and gentlemen. Quintal has got to conserve his tyres. And that is so difficult to do when you've got someone lurking in your rearview mirror like Chevalier so is right there. You can tell he's just feathering the throttle so carefully to keep those tyres in good shape. Not sliding the car too much. The trick is not to change down the gears too quickly either when you're entering the corners, entering the braking zones, because the more your wheels spin, the more they'll wear as well, particularly in rear wheel drive. And you can just tell he's really nursing the car through this section, making sure he doesn't slide at all. 3 seconds between him and Chevalier, so and it's actually close between them two. They both set fastest laps of 2:14.8, and there's only 61 thousandths of a second between their times. Their fastest times, that is. And we've also got this battle for 3rd on. Jansen versus Elliott House. Elliott House had a really good last lap, and this lap is looking way better from Ollie Jansen. But he's running out of time. Back at the front, it's 2.3 between Quintal and Chevalier, so you could say that Quintal has almost got it in the bag, but you just know that Opel, he is on his last legs. He's really taking it easy on the gears here. Chevalier has got the Opel in his sights. 2 seconds between them. They start the final lap. We've got Ollie Jansen chasing down Elliott House here as well for 3rd place, the final spot on the podium. Ollie Jansen will really help out his championship and cement another podium tonight, which will be his 2nd podium of the season if he can do it tonight. It'll be Elliott House's 1st. 2 seconds between Quintal and Anthony Chevalier, so now 1.8. Creeps up to 2 there. Elliot House has dropped behind Ollie Hansen. Something's happened there. I think he passed him on the straight. I missed it again. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Sack him, will you? And that's there. There we go. That is. Oh, then again, it's not over. It is not over. Elliot House all over the rear of Ollie Hansen. Will he make a daring move? No, he won't. Into the hairpin. Janssen leads the way through. But while we are waiting for the conclusion of this race, driver of the day, well, I don't give it to a driver 2 weeks on the trot. So I think the next best is Anthony Chevalier. So 2 second-place finishes. It's been quiet tonight, but it's been quick quiet. 2 kinds of cues there. So he is my driver of the day tonight. Elliot House right behind Ollie Hansen. And near a second behind is Chevalier, so up ahead. Oh, Elliot House gets a little bit out of shape in the S's there. Everyone really nursing their tyres home at this point. We've got to revert from this shortly on this long straight. There's only a few more corners left for Quintal. There is going to be a stewards' inquiry after this race. We know that much. But at least on track he can take the win. And it'll be a provisional win for him. And the tyres have just about managed to hold on. One more corner he's got to get through. And Quintal will win the race here. But what a valiant effort from Anthony Chevalier to catch up. But it's been a near perfect night again for Quintal. I believe that is maximum points provisionally at the moment as he crosses the line to take the win. And Anthony Chevalier, so second place. He needed another lap. And the battle for third is on here. Janssen is going to guard the inside. What can House do? Heading into the final corner. He's not going to make the move. He's going to stick with fourth place. And Janssen will take yet another podium here. A solid drive tonight from Ollie Janssen. Another candidate for driver of the day. And third place for him. Brilliant, brilliant driving from him in this race. And Elliot House equally from 11th to 4th in this race. One of the biggest gainers. Brilliant driving from him. Paul Hans had to fight hard tonight. All through the night he was fighting through the packs. And he's got himself into 5th position here in this race. Good job to him. And he very much keeps second place in the championship up for grabs. He's conceded the position, but is up for grabs still. Jeff Perkis, a tough night for him. But 6th place, I'd say, is a good result out of the difficulties he's faced in tonight's racing. Fabio Andrade was looking good for a podium, but it is falling away from him, and it's a 7th place for him in this race. And Remo Schneider was looking real good tonight. He was a candidate for driver of the day, in my opinion. But a bit of bad luck for him. Puts himself 8th place. But your race winner at the moment is Diego Quintal. We are just waiting. There we go. The results have come through. And that is a win for Diego Quintal. Anthony Chevalier, so in second position with Ollie Janssen rounding off the podium. The same top 3 as race 1. Elliot House in 4th with Paul Hans in 5th and Jeff Perkis in 6th. Fabio Andrade 7th with Raymond Schneider 8th and Coleman Corkery in 9th. And rounding off the top 10 is Rodrigo Portugal. Ian Deeney 11th, and rounding off the finishers is Carl Smith. D and S for Tim Johnson, as well as Nikolai Mikov and Alex Ward getting engine damage, which put him out of the race from the lead earlier on in this race. Well, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for watching tonight. That has been round 4 of the championship of the World Touring Car Challenge Goes Classic, the DTM 92 category. That was Bathurst Mount Panorama Circuit. And where are we off to next? We're off to Interlagos. We're heading across the Pacific to Interlagos in Sao Paulo, the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache circuit, one of the another legendary circuit that's on this calendar. And that, although not traditionally a touring car track, should be quite interesting. It's very popular in Formula 1. It's very popular on Race Room as it's quite a new track to Race Room. And it should see some exciting racing next week. It'd be interesting to see the differences in the cars for next week, as tonight we saw the Opel and the Mustang really flourish. I wonder what car we're going to see flourish at Interlagos next time out. But yeah, thank you very much for watching tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Please do give the channel a subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you can see when we're next live. And do like the video as well if you've enjoyed tonight's racing. It's been fairly exciting, been a bit of drama, and been a lot of close action, been a lot of triumphs and tears on this round, that's for certain. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. We're heading off to Interlagos next week. We'll catch you next time. Good night.